Rip City Mornings.
When the Wall Street Journal came out and said, yeah, Phil Knight has got $47 billion. Would like to buy the team. And the team's like, yeah, no, not for sale. Then CJ McCollum went on ESPN and was like, yeah, I think Dame might be, I'm not a betting man, but I think Dame might be done in Portland. Of course, we all freak out. Dame goes on a podcast like, yeah, I like Miami. Bam is my dog. Then Chris Haynes is like, yeah, Miami, not Boston. And then Dame went on Instagram and was like, hey, why is everybody all so fired up? That's the week. That's the week the Blazers have had. Joining us now to break all of it down and to figure out how the Blazers are going to draft Scoot Henderson, keep Damian Lillard, get Jaylen Brown, and not have to give up anything. Aaron Fentress from the Oregonian now on the big show. Good morning, Fentress. How are you?
Wow, that's a lot to ask this early in the morning.
I mean, I see it on Twitter all the time, Fentress. They just get Jaylen Brown, get probably everything for Anthony Simons. You keep Dame, and you don't have to give up the number 3 pick. That's how hard is this?
Sounds pretty easy to me. Just get it done, man. Move this thing along.
All right, let's start there with the draft because. Obviously, ever since the ping pong balls fell, it was reported that the Blazers are gonna, they're looking to shop the number 3 pick, and who knows, maybe Charlotte is kind of throwing up the biggest smokescreen, but it seems as though they're kind of locked in on Brandon Miller. So the Blazers now kind of have a face and a name to go along with the number 3 pick. We're just a couple of weeks away from the draft. What's your gut tell you the Blazers do at the number 3 pick?
You mean who they're going to take or what they're going to trade it?
What Aaron Fentress's gut thinks happens on draft day with the Blazers and the number 3 pick?
Okay, so obviously they've been trying to deal it. As of right now, it's pretty clear, and based on what I've been hearing, that they're not finding deals to their liking. It's similar to what happened last year with number 7. Mm-hmm. They wanted to trade number 7. But every offer they got for number 7 was not better than what they thought the player was they were going to get at 7. And they really liked Shaedon, and that turned out to be absolutely an amazing decision because Shaedon is more valuable than the 7th pick. And so right now, I made this point on Twitter the other day. I said, if the number 3 pick, if Scoot Henderson is so amazing and so guaranteed to be a star, he's the next Derrick Rose, Westbrook, or Dame, whatever.
Combine
those. But why are their teams lining up around the block to trade for that pick? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So what we have fans out there like, we're not trading number 3 unless we get, like you said, Jaylen Brown, Bridges, Embiid, and the rights to their children 20 years out. Right? Mm-hmm. But there's nothing materializing that indicates that they could get close to that they could even get Bridges, right? They have to give up number 3 and Nurk to get Bridges, or number 3 and Nurk to get Siakam, or whatever. Like, there's just all these crazy deals that are being thrown out there that it would take to get certain guys, which to me indicates that the number 3 pick is not as valuable as maybe people had thought. So you can see a situation I think as of right now, they're going to draft probably Henderson if he's there. I think they would prefer Brandon Miller, positional, and end up keeping that player. And then figuring out a different way to get someone in that makes them appreciably better and satisfies Damian's wants, while putting them also in a position to have, say, Scoot and Sharp moving forward. Because Sharp's off the table.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, I came into this thinking, okay, you got number 3 pick, Sharp, and then, pieces. And then if you can do something with that Bulls, what you owe the Bulls, you could have multiple picks in the future as well. You're loaded. And that's what they said. And so I'm thinking you're getting 2 dudes. I'm thinking you're getting a high-end guy and then another guy on par with Grant. Or at the very least, you're getting 2 guys on par with Grant. Which, if you do that and then fill out with some other vets on the roster, then you're going to be definitely better. And right now, it seems like the only certain thing is that they are definitely going to move Anthony and try and do something pick-wise to get more picks to be able to move as well. You can't draft Scoot and keep Ant.
Yeah.
You just can't. You got to get someone in taller than me. That should be the goal. Make that the new goal. That's the new Blazers goal. They have to get a player in taller than Aaron Fentress. If you don't,
the reporter who covers the team cannot be
as tall as a guard. The main guy you bring in. If that's the case, because I'm like, Daniel, actually, I can't remember what city it was in, but they were talking about height and how tall people actually wore shoes on, and Dame like got right. We stood, so it's stand next to Fentress, and we stood like face to face, and he was like looking at me like, I'm as tall as Fentress. And I was 6'2", and I can't even grab shoes on that. Anyway, the point is, if you are as tall as Fentress, you can't join this team as an impact player. That should be the new rule right now, because if the only move you make this summer is you bring in Scoot, then why is Dame staying for that? So, to recap, Sharp staying. As of right now, they're not getting what they want for that pick. They're going to keep that pick, and then they're going to try their best to turn Ant and Nurk and picks into something else. What that could be, I don't know.
Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Fentress, I'd be lying if I said I watched any Scoot Henderson basketball game at all. Haven't watched it. Watched a highlight clip.
You haven't gone on YouTube and watched any Scoot stuff.
I'm saying I've watched highlights now, but like I would be lying if I was like, oh, I watched the G League this year on League Pass. Haven't watched it. And so since obviously it looked like this is a possibility, saw a couple of highlights, saw the one that you posted, and I'm like, yep, I'm all in. I'm sold. Because you know what? I'm an emotional guy, Fentress. I can be bought by highlights. I saw 17 seconds of Bo Nix playing against Air on Instagram last summer, and I was all in.
You did.
That being said, when you look at Scoot Henderson kind of like as a 19-year-old, I love the kid because I've only watched highlights. What is kind of the basketball consensus? Because you keep hearing, and it might be also from some delusional fans, I don't know, but you keep hearing about it. Well, if Wembanyama wasn't in this draft, Scoot goes number 1. Is he that kind of player, or is this a really good job of his agent getting kind of that out there?
But even then, what does that mean? Markelle Fultz went number 1.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like I keep hearing people say that, and I'm like, okay, but what does that mean? Because the number 1 pick isn't always, a can't-miss star, as we already know. Look, obviously, a lot of people are high on his abilities. What I really like about him, and I've watched a little bit more film than you.
Yes.
And I'm not sitting there with a visor in the dark, breaking it down, yelling at my wife and kids to keep it down. Because I'm breaking down tape. I'm not one of those guys. But what I really love about him is he's a natural passer. Like that's like Simons can run the point and he can pass, but he hasn't really demonstrated. He hasn't really been put in that position. I mean, last year for those 2 months when he started, when Dame was out, he kind of demonstrated some playmaking ability. He had 11 assists in back-to-back nights. But Scoot is like almost innate to him. Like he goes out there and he just sees things. He just flips the ball to people and just does all. Like I like that about him because I miss the days where point guards were point guards and not 3-point factories. I realize the game has changed. The back of my damn point guard, man, you average 12 assists, not 12 3-point attempts, right? So he's definitely a passer. He's physical, and we saw him up front, up close and personal when he visited. He's built like a safety in the NFL. Like you put him out there starting safety for the Seahawks tomorrow, you'd be like, yep, that looks like a safety. So it's already that's what was the deal with Westbrook. Well, actually, Westbrook came in a little skinny. I remember seeing Westbrook in UCLA. But anyway, Derrick Rose came in pretty, built pretty quickly, right? So he's got that kind of build. So he's got all the physical attributes that you would want if you're going to go with a small point guard in terms of height and what he can bring to the table. The one thing is that the shooting isn't there, right? He shot 43% from the field, 27% on threes. That's not good. But he's only 19. So, at the end of the day, I think he comes in, he refines a lot of things, and I think he can be really good in a few years. But I don't think he's going to come in Like some people are like, you start Dame and Scoot in the backcourt, or you come in and you play him 25 minutes off the bench. If you are running Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp out there for a combined 50 minutes, you ain't contending. I'm gonna call that right now. Unless you can pull off a deal to bring in Jaylen Brown or maybe a Siakam level guy, you're not contending with those two getting 50 minutes. Shaden Sharp, for every spectacular dunk he had last year, he made like 10 mistakes on offense and defense that caused Phillips to pull him out because he just didn't know what he was doing. Why? Because he's only played AAU ball. Scoot has a little more, obviously has more experience, but he's going to come in and be green and make a lot of mistakes as well. So if you're putting those guys out there, they're going to be spectacular at times, but they're not going to necessarily play the type of winning caliber basketball you want in your rotation if you're trying to, quote unquote, contend, which allegedly is their goal. So I just think people need to slow their roll a little bit. Like if Scoot becomes great, it's going to be in 2026, not 2023. Same with Shaden, although Shaden's a year ahead now. But yeah, I mean he's got grand potential, but he's got a lot of work to do. That shooting percentage is not good. Like you can't. And he's been in the G League for 2 years. So the fact that he's only shooting 27% on threes is not a good sign.
Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. This is kind of the question I've had a couple of times, Fentress, because it wasn't a complete ultimatum, but it sounded a little bit like an ultimatum, which is funny that all this stuff keeps popping up on ESPN and everything, where it's like, oh, well, if Dame says he doesn't want another. Like he'd been saying this for 2 months. This was at the end of the season. Dame came out and said, like, if that's the way you want to go, then maybe I'm not going. Which apparently was a surprise to everyone else. We've been hearing about this for a couple of months. But do you see a scenario where the Blazers do draft Scoot Henderson at number 3? Obviously, you said it. Shaden Sharp's off the table. He is staying on this team, which makes an awful lot of sense. And where the Blazers potentially, could you appease Dame with that scenario happening? Could the Blazers ultimately try to kind of have a feat in on both sides of the line here? Because it seemed as though Dame came out and said, yeah, that's not my timeline. I'm kind of done with 19-year-olds. If they draft Scoot Henderson, is that then serious talks about Damian Lillard potentially being traded?
That's what he said, man.
I know that's what he said.
That's what he said. Look, Dame's tired of have to stop off at the 7-Eleven and buy alcohol for some of his teammates. Dame's done being the guy with the ID. You know what I'm saying? Getting dudes into the club.
That's right. They're cool. They're with me.
Yeah, exactly. He's just done with that. He's a grown man. Like he's about to turn 33, man. He's an adult. 3 kids. I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean that's what he said, and that's what people, the franchise, were saying. Like, well, yeah, we're trading that pick, But like I said, they're not getting the heat on it that they thought they were going to get yet. That could all change, People could be posturing, or who knows. But okay, here's the other problem to this whole thing. Mm-hmm. If you can't pull off anything with the pick, and you can still get a good player. I still think Ant. Like, I don't see why Phoenix wouldn't entertain, something for Ayton. They need a point guard now. If they're going to move off Paul, and they don't want Ayton. Ayton is underachieved. So, but does Ayton make you a contender? I don't know. I don't think so. Does OG, like everyone's been hot after OG. I think you'd definitely rather have OG than Ant, just because Ant's redundant already, and it's going to be more redundant if you get Scoot. But does that necessarily make you a contender? Not really, but it makes you better. Like, OG makes you better, and maybe Dame thinks, all right, we can at least make some noise. And then we'll see how Shaden and Scoot develop. And if Shaden takes a huge step, now all of a sudden I got, Anthony Edwards Jr. next to me. But the other side to this is that if none of that works out and the decision is, well, maybe you need to trade Dame, well, now you got to find a trade partner.
Yeah. And
you got to find a team that's going to contend after they get Dame. Some of the things I see out there that people want for Dame are just cracks me up. It's like they're not giving him all that because now they're not good. Now they're Portland. so Dame's not going to want to go someplace where once he gets there, he said himself the other day on that podcast he did. Once he gets there, the team can't stink, right? He can't unpack his bags, look around, and go, "Oh, damn." He's not in the same place, team-wise. So you got to find a team that has enough to make it reasonable, and where Dame wants to go. He has to go to a contender. You can't send him to a bad team. Like, you're not going to do Dame like that. And so that's going to be a delicate balance. You know, Miami to me is perfect, but what are you going to get from Miami? Perfect for Dame. But the best you're going to get probably is Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and some picks. Now, a lot of people would scoff at that, but I think if you're Portland, Tyler Hero is a good young player. He's redundant with Sharp in terms of the two guard, but you can also at some point move Tyler Hero. But you get those picks and you just move on. And you hope that, because if you get multiple picks down the road from them, if you get 24, 26, 28, I'm not sure what picks they have left, you know, Dame's going to be 33 and Butler's 33 already. So one of those picks could end up being really good picks down the road. So it could end up being something like that. Now, most people will be like, Tyler Hero? I'm not doing anything with Tyler Hero. But if Dame wants to go to contender, Miami definitely with Dame, Butler, and Bam would be. I mean, look, they're in the finals not right now without Dame. You know, that's the kind of thing that could happen. But does Miami even want to do that? So if you get to a situation where you can't really find a place where he wants to go and a place that will give you at least something, then maybe you got no choice but to keep him. And maybe he recognizes that too. He's like, damn, I can't get anywhere. I might as well stay here and hope that OG and Sharp develops and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be a very fine line no matter what they try and do.
Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. One last thing before we let you go, because this is all interesting and I think fun to talk and discuss and debate. And let's just say the Blazers do ultimately decide, yeah, we want to go young. You mentioned, right, maybe Scoot Henderson will be good by 2026. Maybe Shaedon Sharp will be an all-star by 2026. I mean, those are all things that could be possible, but there is still this weirdness kind of hanging over this organization, Fentress, because it allegedly has to be sold and to help clean up the oceans. I don't know how long we're going to wait to clean up the oceans. I am biased. I'm Team Oceans. Like, these turtles need help right now, Fentress. Phil Knight's money can help a lot of turtles. It's just weird, like, that you've got this whole thing kind of hanging over this Portland Trailblazers organization while we're talking about, are they going to build for the future? Well, are they even going to own the team in 5 years? Probably are.
So, look, Jody Allen is, overseeing the sale of the estate. And the first thing, and this isn't me acting like some expert on this. I sold off my $1 billion long ago, so I had other people handle it. But just in talking to people about it, and I talked to someone actually last year when this came up, and who kind of operates in that world, and what they said was, look, when you're selling off an estate like this, the last things you sell off are the things that are appreciating the fastest. It's like, you just don't sell them yet because they're going up in value. And so people freaked out last year when everyone heard, Phil Knight offered $2 billion plus for the team. Jody Allen needs to sell it. She's crazy, blah, 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 blah. Well, since then, another team's gone for $4 billion. So who's crazy now?
I don't know. A lot of turtles have gotten dirty, too, in that time, Fentress. That's all I'm saying.
So I would say the Blazers got to be much closer to 3. So she's already made $1 billion by waiting. I get fans and people in the media. I think Phil Knight. So, oh my God, let Phil Knight get the team. He's gonna maybe build the state. Everyone envisions he's gonna do with the Blazers what they did with the Ducks, right? He's just start building stuff.
That's right. Just start building stuff right? Left and right. Let's do it.
Throwing money around left and right and just build. The Rose Quarter becomes the Night Star. Death Star. So yeah, that all sounds cool, but from her perspective, she's trying to get the most money she can get. And so I get what you're saying, right? She's got to sell it at some point anyway. Phil Knight's the perfect owner. And my counterpoint to all that is, okay, he needs to overpay. Whatever the perceived value is, he needs to add $1 billion to it. Mm-hmm. And some people might go, well, why should he do that? Because there's only 30 teams in the NBA. And there's a difference between the valuation of a team, which we all have seen these valuations change ridiculously over the last 5 to 10 years, right? When Ballmer bought the Clippers for $2 billion, people said he was insane. Yeah, they're only worth $1 billion. A bunch of people making $50K to $100K, or you're an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. And now they're worth. If the Suns went for 4, what are the Clippers worth? 4.5. So it doesn't matter that he overpaid. He got one. And now it's worth 100% more than what he paid for. So I think if the valuation of the Blazers is $2.8 billion, I think Phil Knight needs to say $4 billion, get it done. And he's gonna make that money back. 2, he can't take it with him. And three, you have to pay for the right. You have to pay for the right and to incentivize the person who owns the team to sell it. And so I said this on Twitter, I'm sure you saw. If I had $20-30 billion and the Bears came out for sale and the valuation was $6 billion, I'm offering $7 billion. Without even blinking. I'm not going to go in there and be, trying to trick Virginia McCaskey and Hobart T and try to get her. Oh, I think you should give it to me for 5.8. No, I'm rolling up in there. I'm saying 7.5. Let's get it done. If it's for sale, let's do it. And they're going to do it because I'm overpaying, and then I own the Bears. They're going to say, Fentress is an idiot. I'm going to be like, whatever. I'm going to be sleeping in Chicago Bears jammies at Soldier Field owning the Bears. So Phil Knight just needs to step up and make an offer that Jody Allen can't refuse, and then make it public. We've offered $4.2 billion for the Blazers, and then Jody Allen becomes the bad guy. Right now, he's the wise one.
You'd be sleeping in Bears PJs in like Naperville, though. You're not. Soldier Field's gone. There's Naperville now.
That's true.
That's where they're going. All right. You can find him on Twitter at Aaron J. Fentress. He'll argue with you. He'll go back and forth. He's got tight. You're the fastest. You and Dwight, both of you guys, the fastest when in an argument, typers, left and right. I'm exhausted by both of you. But always fun having you on the show. Have a terrific week, Fentress. We'll talk to you soon.